The Dark One of Ephesus. Imagine walking through the streets of ancient Ephesus around 500 BC. Amidst the merchants and politicians, there is a man who stands apart, scowling, solitary, and deeply unimpressed by humanity. This is Heraclitus. In antiquity, he was branded the weeping philosopher, or the obscure, because his writings were like riddles wrapped in enigmas. Unlike the clear, logical steps of later thinkers like Aristotle, Heraclitus spoke in thunderous aphorisms. He didn't debate in the public square. Instead, tradition tells us he deposited his singular book in the great temple of Artemis, intending it only for the few capable of understanding his difficult truths. The myth of the royal misanthrope. To understand the man, we must look at the legends that surround him, though we should treat them with caution. Later biographers claim he was born into royalty, but surrendered his hereditary title of king to his younger brother to avoid the pollution of politics. He looked at the citizens of Ephesus and allegedly saw sleepwalkers obsessed with money and status. There is a famous anecdote, likely invented to illustrate his character, where he was found playing dice games with children. When the city leaders asked him what he was doing, he reportedly snapped, "Why are you surprised, you good-for-nothings? Isn't it better to play with these children than to govern the city with you?" Whether fact or fiction, this story perfectly captures his rejection of conventional society. Panta Rhei, the river paradox. If you know one thing about Heraclitus, it is likely the concept of Panta Rhei, everything flows. The most famous fragment attributed to him declares, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man." This isn't just poetic imagery. It is a profound metaphysical stance. Heraclitus argued against a static universe. Look at a stone or a mountain. They seem solid, but they are actually processes in slow motion. Reality is a ceaseless storm of change, and the moment you try to freeze it, you lose the essence of what it is. Fire and measures. While other philosophers sought a stable element like water or air as the foundation of the universe, Heraclitus chose fire. But we must be careful not to take this too literally. He likely chose fire because it represents pure transformation. Fire lives by consuming and dies by being extinguished. For Heraclitus, the cosmos is an ever-living fire, kindling in measures and going out in measures. Note the word measures. This change isn't random. It is a rhythmic, balanced exchange of energy, turning into sea, into earth, and back again. The world isn't a solid building. It is a burning, regulated process. The Logos. If everything is constantly burning and changing, why isn't the universe just total chaos? This brings us to his most complex and debated idea, the Logos. In ancient Greek, this word covers everything from speech to reason or account. To use a modern metaphor, think of the Logos as the underlying formula or the code running the simulation. Everything changes, yes, but it changes according to this strict divine law. Heraclitus was frustrated because he believed this Logos was obvious and all around us, in the changing seasons, in the cycle of life. Yet he claimed most people lived as if they were deaf to this universal language. The unity of opposites. The way the Logos operates is through conflict. This is the core of Heraclitean thought, the unity of opposites. We tend to think of day and night, hot and cold, war and peace as separate enemies. Heraclitus saw them as two sides of the same coin, necessary for each other's existence. As one fragment says, "The road up and the road down are one and the same." He used the metaphor of a bow or a lyre. The instrument only creates music because of the tension pulling in opposite directions. If you remove the tension, the structure collapses. For him, war is the father of all, meaning that cosmic tension is the creative force that builds the world. Critique of the polymaths. Heraclitus had a special kind of disdain for people who simply memorized facts without insight. In his authentic fragments, he targeted the heavyweights of his day, criticizing the poet Hesiod and even the mathematician Pythagoras. He famously claimed that learning many things does not teach understanding. In our modern age of information overload, this hits hard. You can memorize the encyclopedia, but if you don't grasp the logos, the underlying connection between things, you know nothing. He distinguished between mere intelligence, accumulation of data, and true wisdom, insight into the nature of the whole. Awake versus asleep. Throughout his fragments, a recurring theme appears, the difference between being awake and being asleep. Heraclitus viewed the common man as a dreamer, constructing a private, delusional world while ignoring the common world shared by the awake. When we are asleep, we retreat into our own fantasies. When we wake, we enter the shared reality of the logos. To be a philosopher, in the Heraclitean sense, is to snap out of the trance of habit. It is to stop assuming that tomorrow must be like today and to realize that you are a changing process in a changing world. The legend of the dung heap. The ancient biographers, such as Diogenes Laertius, often invented ironic deaths to match a philosopher's personality. The story goes that Heraclitus suffered from dropsy, severe water retention. True to his arrogant nature, he supposedly refused doctors and tried to cure himself by burying his body in cow manure, hoping the heat would evaporate the water. The story ends grimly, with him dying in the filth or even being devoured by dogs. While almost certainly a fabrication intended to mock him, the legend persists because it fits the caricature. A man who trusted his own erratic wisdom over the conventions of society. Right to the bitter end. Why Heraclitus matters now. So, why should we care about this grumpy ancient Greek today? Because Heraclitus offers a perspective on the modern condition. We live in a world of accelerating flux and social tension. His message is that holding on is the source of suffering because there is nothing stable to hold on to. By accepting panta rhei, we stop fighting the current. He reminds us that conflict and opposition aren't errors in the system. They are the system. In a universe of constant fire, Heraclitus challenges us not to get burned, but to understand the nature of the flame.